Hello, everyone. We will just give 2 minutes for everyone to join. Neerja, ma'am, so happy to see you. Appreciate you joining. You're on mute, ma'am.
I muted. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. Good evening to you all.
Thank you. Just I came back to home.
Okay, awesome. Definitely appreciate you joining. We'll
Yes.
give few more minutes. Today's topic is really very relevant to the entire world. So we want to help others to join few for and give some time before we go ahead and get started. One more minute and we'll go ahead and get started. So yeah, we can go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, back in India. Good evening to all, and we are hoping that you're all staying safe. There is the pandemic that is raising the number of deaths in India, and our hearts and prayers are with you all. But at the same time, it's the social responsibility that we all need to have, not just the government, but us people too, should have that social responsibility, maintain that social distancing, take a vaccination, and also promote taking vaccination to others, help others to understand all these the results of not maintaining the social distance. Then only we can bring these number of deaths down. So I just wanted to start that, especially with the entire world talking about India and the number of deaths over there happening right now. So, good morning and good evening, everyone. One more time, I am Cynthia Padala, founder of SERA Trust, registered in India and USA. And we talk about NRI social responsibility all through our journey of our SERA Trust. And this is weekend webinars. And the idea was to start weekend webinars, especially to promote women entrepreneurship and women in STEM. But our respected Neerja ma'am gave us a wonderful suggestion saying that 75 years of independence, so we should promote that too. So thank you for that suggestion, ma'am. And we are taking that suggestion and making this an entire year's journey of raising awareness and also connecting the worlds together. So being said that, today's topic is about organics and how organics is really important for us. If we take a look at the data itself, we use 5.2 billion pounds of the pesticides in the entire world. And we have to understand what is the actual impact of using pesticides. There are several impacts that are documented on Google, and we are talking about it. But today, for our discussion, we want to talk about two things. First one is the impact that the pesticides are creating, the negative impact that they are creating on our lives, our human lives. And then the second one is the negative impact the pesticides are creating on the entire world itself, the environment. So if we take a look at the impact, the negative impact that they are creating on our lives, pesticides, these 5.2 billion pounds of pesticides are going into all of our bodies because most of us use regular pesticide used crops. And what is that creating? That's actually leading to cancer, leukemia, and brain cancer, breast cancer, testis cancer, prostate cancer. So all these cancers are being, triggered because our body is losing immunity. And why are we losing immunity? Because we are taking all those chemicals into our body and getting our bodies accustomed to pesticides, which is not good. And these pesticides are the ones that are taking away the actual immune fighting elements from our body and letting all these external negativity come into our body. And it is also damaging our liver, our kidneys, our lungs, and sometimes our heart too because of all the stress. So basically, it's getting into our bloodstream and affecting all our body, because of which we lose our immunity and all these negative aspects of cancer and many other ailments come and attack our body. But why is that happening? Can we stop it? Is the question. Now, due to pandemic, I see so many people suffering because of lack of oxygen in our country, and also lack of getting the vaccine. So when the government was actually promoting vaccine, we did not take it seriously. We didn't want to get vaccinated. And when the government is promoting organics, we are not taking it seriously. And do we want to come to this level where there is a pandemic that is hitting because of the pesticides too? Is a question that you and me need to think about today. Because we already learned about one, and we are living in that pandemic where we are seeing the consequences of lack of social responsibility. So now, without further ado, we want to jump into the topic of what is happening in the world of organics. There are several companies that are promoting organic vegetables. We want to talk to one founder and hear her challenges. And at the same time, we want to promote these founders and these companies and help them make a greater impact by promoting by buying what they are selling. So not to waste much time, I would like to call upon Naini to give a brief intro about SAFE Foundation, and then Shruti Naini will introduce SERA Trust, and Shruti will introduce SAFE Foundation and also the speaker. Naini, it's all yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, USA. Good evening, India. My name is Naini Padala, and I am in 9th grade, studying in Alpharetta High School and from Atlanta, Georgia. Here's a brief introduction on SERA Smart Villages. Ms. Vidya Padala is the director of SERA Smart Villages, which is both registered in India and USA. SERA means Sustainable, Eco-Friendly, Rural Areas. It is a nonprofit organization that helps people in rural areas become self-sustained. SERA Smart Villages help villagers by mentoring them to have a holistic outlook in life. SERA works with villagers, their local government officials, and government organizations to provide livelihood, education, infrastructure, healthcare, reduce gender gap while maintaining their traditional culture and social environment. Ms. Cynthia Padala is a product innovation specialist and has worked for many Fortune 500 companies. She is a passionate feminist who has volunteered actively for battered women and human trafficking victims. She has conducted fashion shows to raise awareness and funds for these causes. Subsequently, she adopted 40 villages, and now she is currently back in the USA working on raising awareness in the NRI community. Ms. Cynthia Padala, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Naini. Shruti, can you please introduce SAFE Foundation and also our guest speaker today?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. And Save Foundation is a new generation social enterprise established in 2013 by a visionary leader, Mr. Mendu Srinivaslu Garu, and it is now Save Foundation is a Section 25 company, a non-profit organization which is operating from Hyderabad. And Save Foundation works mainly in the five verticals, which are of like smart farmer enterprises. It's related to the FPOs and smart agripreneurs. And the second is of like a youth mentoring program through camps. Camps is a career advisory and mentoring program. It is mainly to mentor the youth of the India, not only in the India. It is working in the globally. And the third vertical is of the Spark ID. It's mainly focusing on the children's to promote the children for the external environments and for to reach the SDGs. And the fourth vertical is of startups incubation services. So Save is also providing the services in the incubation services also. And the fifth vertical of the Save Foundation is of CSR activities. The main motto of the Save Foundation is of people, planet, prosperity approach, which are aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The main objective is to create larger impact of Save Foundation works with the credible partnerships across the globe. So this is the main idea of the visionary leader of the Save Foundation, Mr. Mendu Srinivas Garu. And now I take it as my privilege to introduce our distinguished guest of today, Ms. Likita Banu, the co-founder and CEO of the Terra Greens Organic. As Likita Banu, she is a biotechnology graduate, graduated from Vellore Institute of Technology, and she is passionate for sustainable lifestyle choices and believes food to be an integral part of it. She is actively involved in spreading awareness about making the right choices, not only for ourselves but also to the environment. So she is passionate about the issues and challenges which are faced by the women in all their lifestyle, even in the travel and the new culture. So Likita Banu has several publications, and which is her main theme of is to food from earth for all. It is inspired by her mother. Likita Banu wants people to go in the organic way. And with the help of her mother, she started Terra Green Organics in 2013 in Hyderabad with two aims, that is to spread awareness about organic food and to help farmers across India adopt this method of farming. So Terra Greens produces mainly pulses, spices, honey, tea, etc. All the staple requirements which are required for a Indian kitchen. She founded Green Station, a retail venture with sustainability and healthy living at its core. Green Station currently has three retail outlets and growing e-commerce presence across Hyderabad. And for her service, Likita Banu has received several awards. Out of them, the the few awards are of Chancellor Special Award, which is received in 2020, and Brand Leadership Award, which she honored in 2017, and she has achieved an Entrepreneurship Award for the year 2016, and she also received the Eastern Bhumika Award. And I welcome Likita Banu Garu for the session, and the session is all of yours.
Thank you, Shruti, for introducing me, and thank you, everybody. Um, And it's really lovely to be here this evening and to be amongst such inspired people. And of course, you know, both the SERA Foundation and SAVE, I think, are doing great work. To just give a brief bit, I think Shruti did like a brilliant job introducing what we do and how we do it. But uh, just give a brief about how we started out and what the world of organic agriculture or the organic industry today stands for, because I've been told that there are a lot of budding entrepreneurs and people who want to know why organic, or like how is it different, or how do we contribute to the movement only by consumption, or even by educating ourselves about what really has to be done and what is being done. So um, again, when we started, like, my mother was a farmer. She's been doing farming for about 30 years now, and she still identifies herself as a farmer. So she was farming in our family lands, and I graduated as an engineer, came back home. And I guess this is a lesson where we see that opportunity is everywhere. So I came back home, and she was getting all this produce from her farm, from our family farm, and she was making us eat them. Like, as a 21-year-old, I didn't want to eat carrot every day, or brinjal, or, like, all those things that she was growing. And we'd get a big fat lecture if we ever had to order or do anything at all. So there was a point of time, I think my sister and I had it was enough. So one day on our supermarket visit to a supermarket just down the road, we asked the store manager, there is this organic farmer who's producing organic food. Would you like to buy them? And he said yes. And that day we went to a small printer shop, and I remember Googling how to make a label. And we made a label, we got them printed. My watchman and I sat in our basement, packed everything, loaded it in my car, and I went and delivered. I think summer of 2012 was all about going every day to the store, doing a stock check of what was there on shelf, coming back, packing more, and then refilling, and then taking the dump. We were so naive that we didn't even negotiate any terms with the store. We just said, okay, we'll give it to you, you pay us. And we just wanted to get rid of the vegetables so badly. I think that's when people say necessity is the mother of invention. I keep saying that necessity was like the mother of my career, because at that point, as a 21-year-old, I just didn't want to eat more vegetables. So that's how Terra Greens came about. My mother and I, we sat down. That summer we also did mangoes, which were like a huge hit in Hyderabad. People really loved the mangoes from my farm. And my mother is very, very enterprising. So we both sat down and we said, nobody knows what organic is. Organic is something in 2012, 13, people, even in the West, were just warming up to. So at that time we said, okay, fine, you know what, let's do this. Let's work with farmers. Let's educate them. Let's create a supply chain which will lead to a more sustainable model someday, one day. And that's how we started. My mother still takes care of the back end. We started with a small project in Kurnool with 300 farmers, a paddy project. And we set up a team, and I always took care of the front end, which is marketing, distribution, and sales, which I still do. And today we stand at a farmer strength of 12,000 farmers directly under our wing in 5 states. And we also indirectly work with close to 30,000 farmers. And we started off with a production unit, like I said, in my garage. And today we have a floor size of 40,000 SFT packaging unit. So, and we also distribute all over India and also the world starting this year. So I think when we started, the questions that were asked was, what is organic? What does that even mean? Or like, why is it so expensive? Today, the questions that are asked to us is, yes, you claim this is organic. How do you prove that it is organic? Where is it coming from? Is it really organic? Or, what are the benefits of consuming this food? So the questions have changed. So I think it's irrelevant to go back and explain what organic is. But just so that we're technically clear, I think the definition of organic food or organic agriculture is when agriculture is done without using any chemical fertilizer or pesticide. So it is a natural way of agriculture, just like how it was done before the Green Revolution. There is no great science to it, but the difference between how organic agriculture is done today versus how it was done in the 1940s or the 1930s, where the world had a food scarcity problem, is that today we use technology. Technology is heavily used in agriculture to make sure that the yields or the quality of crop is not bad, or we do not slip into a food security problem. So, but at the end of the day, we do not need chemical inputs, because there's so many natural ways that you can make sure that the soil and the crop is potent enough, so that the health, not only of ourselves, of the human beings that consume the food, but also the flora and fauna around that around that area where agriculture is done, also the environment, soil, water, air, is not harmed. So this is, when we look at organic agriculture, it's a small part of the entire topic of sustainability. How do we ensure that there is a sustainable tomorrow, not only in terms of food, but in terms of the environment, and how the environment affects different people and different organisms, when we start to tinker with it. Coming back to the industry and the entrepreneurship part of what we are doing today, and like Cynthia really pointed out, was that organic has become the buzzword today, mostly in line with immunity, mostly in line with health. When we are facing a pandemic, when we are facing a situation where inner strength is the only way you can combat. How strong are you internally, physically, mentally, is how you can combat the situation today. Can you derive strength from what you have done previously, not what you're doing today? So when we're talking about this topic, and a lot of people come to us and saying, I'll eat organic food, my immunity will increase, or like, oh, I want to like shift, I want to make I want to start eating organic food, or I want to feed my children organic food because that's healthier. Before we get into the discussion, I want to make a disclaimer that organic food is not just something you buy off the shelf. It's a conscious choice that you make, a choice and a step that you take towards adapting to a sustainable lifestyle. It's a lifestyle shift. Whenever you make a choice to do something better, or you make a or to choose something better than what you are used to, it's a very conscious choice that we make. And the conscious choice can be driven by many things. Unfortunately, that choice today is being driven by the pandemic, but I guess anything is good if it's a good result. All's well that ends well. So but yes, again, the buzzword is there. The industry has picked up, and more than ever, people see value. The biggest challenge that we faced. Did I hear a question?
No, I think there is someone that's unmuted, so we'll take
Okay.
care of it.
Yeah.
But please go ahead, Likita.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge that we used to face before was that, why is it so expensive? I don't need it. Or like, well, I'm fine till date. Nothing happened to me. Why should I eat organic food? This is all such a scam, you know? And today, back then, people didn't see value, because if it was 10 rupees more expensive, they'd go back saying, I don't need it. But at the same time, they would spend 1,000 rupees on going out for a movie, let's say. So priorities shifted. So today, people see value in spending that 10 rupees. They do not question us. Like I said, the questions changed. They ask us, is it really organic? Which is a good question. They ask us, where is it coming from? Again, great question. So these are the things that have changed in terms of an industry landscape, in terms of a consumer mindset landscape. And we're very glad, because at the end of the day, people have started to see value in what we do. So to answer the question of where, what, how, organic industry, or the organic food industry, is just like your conventional industry, except for the fact that is highly, highly regulated. Because if I give you some dal, which is conventional, and some which is organic, physically you cannot distinguish them. So how do we track? How do we make sure that it's really organic? What are the checks and balances? And once we dwell into those questions, then you will know why is organic expensive, right? Because the supply chain itself is so much deeper and so much more tedious than your normal supply chain. So the when we claim a packet to be organic or certified organic, what we do is give them 100% traceability. So as an organization, I am mandated to be able to tell the latitude and longitude of the farmer, that of the farm that produce is coming from, if you ask. That is the level of traceability that I'm required to give. And that includes me investing into my supply chain. That is, my farmer needs to be trained. The warehouses, the processing units need to be certified. The logistics supply chain needs to be tracked. And then when we package it, a lot of care needs to be taken. For example, we cannot use any chemical cleaning agents. We cannot use any chemical fumigation techniques. So how do we control pests? Because you're not going to like it if you see a small pest in your rice packet. You're going to be like, I'm paying 30 rupees more. How dare that there is like a small pest inside my rice? So how do we control? Because at the end of the day, we're not adding anything. They're not fumigating. So there are a lot of, like I said, organic agriculture today is different because we use technology. So when we say that we use CO2 gas, we put our produce in cocoon bags for 14 days, wherein we pass CO2 gas through the grains. No living organism can live in carbon dioxide, and that's how we eliminate pests. So all these items, or all these processes are followed to ensure that the produce that you get on your table is genuinely organic, and it is traceable. Also, it's been taken care of, and that's the reason that you pay that extra 10 rupees. And it's also good for you, because nowhere across the supply chain has it been tinkered with any chemical, fertilizer, pesticide, or agent, even to a point where a certified packaging unit, we cannot use any chemical disinfectants to clean our floors. We are supposed to use neem oil. So that is the level of care that we take. Oh, and how do you know if we have taken that care or not? On the packet, you will see the certification. You will see that USDA symbol. You will see the India organic symbol. And that's when you know that the supply chain is taken care of. So these are the things that we need to educate ourselves, not only when you're a customer, if you ever plan to enter the organic business, because this business is built on trust. It's not built on anything else. When you are picking up my packet, you trust that it's organic. You trust whatever I'm saying today in this webinar is the truth. So if we do not build on that, then the industry itself takes a hit. So it's important continuously, any new entrant, any aspiring entrepreneur that wants to enter this field, my only suggestion and my only request to them is please build this industry on the basis of trust. Because when we do not follow the guidelines, when we do not do things as they're supposed to be done, you're not only harming yourself, you're harming an entire movement, because we're all here to do good and to change the world to be better. So that's just what I wanted to say. Apart from that, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just going like on a tangent, but is there any particular point that you want, or any question, or anything that you would particularly like to know?
Good, good. The intro was excellent. It gave us an understanding and the background of where this Terra Greens have originated, and basically you wanted to push your health away from you and then over to someone else's shoulder, but it became a life-saving venture for a lot of people. So this is a good story to start with. I do have several questions, but I want to open the forum for everybody else to ask first. If not, I can go first. So while everyone is thinking about asking, I have the first question I want to know is, how old is this Terra Greens, and what was the journey from inception? Of course, now you have stated that you have this many hundreds of acres, this many thousands of farmers, but coming to that level of from, you know, whatever 100 acres to 1,000 acres or 2,000 acres, it must have taken you several stages and pitfalls too. So what was that journey? If you can briefly tell us about it.
Terra Greens is 9 years old.
Mhm.
And 2022 will be my 10th year in business. So I think we've been around for a while, and we've when we started out, unlike a lot of inspired, like very well aware uh, 21-year-olds that I meet today, I was pretty much like not inspired, or I was just doing what I was doing. And that's why I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. And I feel that and this is a very personal story. I do not think people are like me, and I wish I wasn't like that in hindsight. I was just a problem solver. I mean, if there was a problem to be solved, we did it in the most efficient way, and that was it. That's what we did, and I think our mission and our vision of building the supply chain, of like ensuring that whatever we sell under our brand or to whomever is genuinely organic, I think our investment into that is what brought us till date. Like I said, we started off with a small farming project in Karnool, and after that we did a subscription service in Hyderabad, where we said we'll give you everything you need for a month, and you buy like a box. And I think we were very ahead of our times, and we flopped magnificently, and we were stuck with inventory because the subscription box didn't take off. So when we were stuck with inventory is when we decided to enter stores. And I remember that I signed this store, and they took our stuff. And immediately, without knowing, we were a brand in the market. That was never our intention. And we got picked up by Spencer's All India and Big Basket. And I think after that, there was no looking back, because we grew 300% in our first year. And we were out of capacity, packing capacity every year. I remember our first unit, and if you come to the Terra Greens unit today, you will see that there'll be one shed and another shed and another shed and another shed, because every 2 years we were out of capacity. And every year we'd think, oh, we're building this big shed and it's going to last us for the next 5 years, and we'd be out of capacity in 6 months and people would start complaining. And when our biggest shed, which was 7,000 SFT, when we built, I told my mom, I said, Amma, this, at least for the next 3 years, no more construction. And then we signed Tata, because we are the back end for Tata Sampan Organic. And we were out of capacity in 1 month. And this 2020, we opened our newest shed, which is 40,000 SFT. And I told my mom and my team, no more construction for 5 years. Like, this is not. And then my team said, don't say that. We have to construct more. We should have, I said, this time, if we do construction, it will not be in Hyderabad. We should expand to different cities. So at least that's the aim that we have in our minds. But like I said, again, Terra Greens as a brand was born out of my absolute failure of subscription services. Our private labeling and B2B business, which is a huge revenue vertical for us today, and also the bedrock for our export vertical, was also born out of an absolute just whim, because I was talking to somebody at Tata and they had come down, and I was like, these guys are just playing around because we're such a small, tiny company in Hyderabad, and these guys are the Tatas, and why would they sign with us? Because we're so tiny. And they audited my company for 2 years, and
Wow.
then they signed us. I was surprised, but it happened. So I think the biggest learning for me as an entrepreneur or as a problem solver is that the game is to just be the last man standing, is to not give up, it's to persevere, it's to say, okay, today seems bad, there are 10 problems or like 20 or hundreds, I don't know, but it's all right, we'll get through. And like there's one thing which Travis Kalanick said, I know before his like downfall, but when he was the CEO of Uber, was that being an entrepreneur is like being a math teacher, and a math teacher without problems is a very sad math teacher. So we have to look at ourselves like that, and it's been a great journey, but definitely, like you said, up and down and up and down, and I'm sure it's going to continue. And as we grow bigger, the ups are much higher and the lows are much lower, so it doesn't get easier. In fact, it gets harder as we move along. But of course, now I have different issues. I want to build an organization, we want to build HR, we want to like attract new talent, we want to have a global presence, build a global brand, and that requires more vision. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. So I see I have a special mention. This is Mrs. Neeraja Boga. She is the Vice Chancellor of our Horticulture University. And thank you so much, ma'am, for joining this call today. And she has a question. She raised her hand. Ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Good to meet you.
It's a great journey of Terra Green Organics. Very interesting. As
Thank
you
you
said,
so much.
so you got opportunity in the difficult times, like creating opportunity by yourself. Very appreciable. That is one thing. Actually, here I want to actually. So, what is actually your sales in local area or within the India, and what's other countries? Any other countries?
So right now, we have just started exporting this year. Before, we were completely a domestic company because our vision was the brand. Our entire vision was the brand. And today we are a 15 crore company. And and of course, we have Green Station as well, which is another startup of mine, the smaller stores, which we started last year. So both put together, we're somewhere about like 18, 19 crores.
Oh, that's great. Then one thing actually, I think you have already formed that like FPOs, farmers producer organizations like that.
In the organic like
That-
in the organic supply chain, we do not call them FPOs, we call them ICS, because we have to develop our own FPOs. FPOs are mostly for conventional farmers. We can convert FPOs into organic farmer units, but it's not very sustainable is what we have seen in our experience. But yes, we do have farmer groups. We have about 12,000 farmers under our wing as of now.
So as a together like a farming society you will operate or individual farmers you will deal?
We usually go in for groups of farmers, but we also have individual farmers, large individual farmers.
Large individual farmers.
Yeah.
So what is the contribution for horticulture crops in your?
We don't do horticulture, ma'am. We are only
Horticulture
completely
means
food.
nothing else. Vegetables, fruits.
No, we don't do FNV. We do cereals. Like we don't
Oh,
do fruits and
cereal.
vegetables.
Only cereals.
Yeah, with cereals, pulses, spices,
Oh.
all the grocery items, staple items.
So dry items.
We do not have an FNV. FNV is only my mother. She grows 28 varieties of fruits and vegetables in our family farm of 40 acres. And we sell those in Green Station, which is our stores. But as a brand, as Terra Greens and as our national presence and an international presence, we do not do any fruits and vegetables.
I know that because fruits and vegetables, they are highly perishable and difficult to deal. That is the one thing. But my suggestion is nowadays in this COVID situation, so every person now present to that consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables, which are good source of vitamins, minerals, and boosts your immunity system. So my suggestion, if you'll concentrate on this supply of organic fruits and vegetables, that's like it's like including the service sector in your organization.
I completely agree, because that's such a huge gap in terms of supply chain on that front. But it's so hard. It's so hard. So it just becomes I keep telling people, you grow, I'll sell it. But just please make sure that the supply chain is there. But we are working. We work with 2 aggregators. We ourselves are looking to aggregate farmers in and around Hyderabad to make sure that the supply chain is there. But it's a process, ma'am. I think it takes time in these new age industries. Like 10 years down the line, we have finally answered the question of what is organic. And I think it'll take a little bit more time for people to understand the supply chain challenges, and also the farmers to make sure that the produce is genuinely organic. Like we have so many mandi people saying or claiming the produce to be organic. We can't really even tell. So it becomes that much harder. But it's a matter of time, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it will come to a stage where we can have that conversation.
It's actually, fresh vegetables, fruits only. This organic is very important when compared to the cereals.
Staples. I completely understand, and I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, directly consumable products.
Yeah.
And fresh products. So in this one, okay, I'll collect your identity ID and from Cynthia, madam, and so that we will actually will plan together to work something. Yeah,
I think that is true. That is true. If I can actually interject, ma'am, actually Neerja ma'am is saying a very good thing, and this is a very good tri-party that I see here. Neerja ma'am has the expertise in the horticulture itself, and we have adopted villages who do farming, and we promote organic farming in those villages. And yours is a company which actually sells. So, if we can connect that way, the roots of these 3 elements, and think of some pilot, right, where you are doing some is helping us out, especially now Nirja ma'am has that expertise, and we can take a group of farmers or something, and then we can come up with a small idea of, let us start implementing it according to your guidelines, because you also have to
Yes.
maintain your industry standards and also your brand value. So if you give us that, whatever, the checklist is, and help us to identify, train these people, we will be able to do a better job. That's what I think. And Nirja ma'am, I really appreciate you bringing that
Yeah,
question.
technical side from our scientists, we will provide that one. So just a first step you start it, it will go forward for the
Definitely. Definitely.
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be really helpful.
I
Yes, thank you.
congratulate yeah, Likita Vanu. So
Thank you so much, ma'am.
so
Thank you.
uh, good efforts towards your organization for successful. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So I have a few more questions over here. Those who have joined recently, Ms. Likita Banu, she is the founder and CEO, co-founder and CEO of Terra Greens. They promote organic cereals, pulses, spices, I believe, these three. And now they are, first of all, locally, and now they're global. So this is a good brand to promote, and especially to understand their challenges. But at the same time, if you have any questions, suggestions, or even you want to congratulate Likita, please unmute yourself and do it so, or you can raise your hand or type it in the chat box. While they're doing that, I have a question for you. So of course, this is a challenge to make people understand what organics is. Now we have come to that level where people do understand what organic is, and now they want to validate it. That's a very good point to start with. You did mention about traceability. There are several applications that you scan the QR code and it gives you all the different, the steps where these all the food has originated from, where the farmers are, and all this. So you are integrating technology into your brand. So how are you doing that? Technology and entrepreneurship. How are you managing with both? And what is it adding value to your company or a brand?
I think when we say technology, we are talking in terms of agriculture first, because we do use a lot of simple things in in terms of even inputs to soil. So people ask me, like, organic food, the size is very small, or the yield is very less, or the taste isn't there, or some like different aspects, or they're not very strong as crops. It's because the strength of the crop itself comes from the soil and water and the inputs, the strength of the soil. So what we give in terms of inputs, obviously we cannot give any chemicals or pesticides or whatever it is. So, and how do we control pests, because pests is a huge problem. So there are many small things that you can use, like you can use pheromone traps, you can use bed formation, you can use small things like intercropping, leaving the land fallow for the summer months so that the land itself recuperates. These are the small things we teach farmers, which are, they don't require any money also. Like, even if you look at how this uh, the whole agriculture aspect is being looked at in terms of organic agriculture as heavy investment, it does not, it's just a change of practice. And yes, of course there is a dip in yield, of course there is a dip in things, but it's a more sustainable way of farming. Like, for example, when we look at studies being conducted, we see that conventional farming, which is using chemical pesticides and fertilizers, over a period of time the yield actually decreases because the soil loses its natural ability to recuperate. The soil itself becomes you cannot farm on those lands anymore. But with organic agriculture, yeah, you might get 80% of the yield or 90% of the yield, but the farmland is viable for a longer period of time. So that way we have to educate our farmers, and technology on that front is used. Apart from that, in terms of traceability, of course, there are so many applications that are there which use data analytics, data tracking. Even we have new startups coming up which are using the blockchain technology to track uh, the produce to the farmer itself, to ensure accountability. So these are some technologies that we are engaging with to ensure that we always keep our produce safe. But also we do our PR tests, our pesticide residue tests. We also maintain paperwork, documentation. We have checks and balances issued by the Indian government, issued by foreign governments, certification bodies, to ensure that our produce is always safe and genuine.
Good. Great. Yeah, thank you. So Foodlens, I believe, is one of those companies that you mentioned who also uses the blockchain technology to do traceability.
Yeah.
That is true. There is one more, Anamika, Miss Anamika, who raised her hand. Yes, Miss Anamika, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Cynthia ma'am. Hello, good evening, Likita ma'am. My name is Anamika.
Anamika.
I work as a program associate with SAFE Foundation, and I must say I am attending a wonderful session today. I'm really enjoying it. I have a small question for you, Likita ma'am. Like, I needed a comment from your side on the organic farming certification in India. Like, what is the ground reality? Is it difficult to obtain? Like, what is there in it?
It's not difficult to obtain, but it is a lot of paperwork, like any other certification or any other proof. You need to have documentation.
One second, ma'am. One second, Likita. Can everyone mute yourself, please? Let's just allow only Likita to speak. Yeah, go ahead, Likita. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. I was just saying that it's a lot of documentation. That's the only, I guess, tedious part of it, but it is necessary. Like, you're not deemed to be married unless you have a marriage certificate. You're not, it's just a matter of proof, right? So maybe that could, unless you have subject matter expertise, or unless you engage a consultant, or you have somebody on board who knows how to use the tracenet software and knows the rules, it becomes a little hard to understand it. But apart from that, no, if you are following the guidelines are fairly simple. I wouldn't say that they are very hard, but it's all right. Only thing is, yes, you do need subject matter expertise.
Okay, so we also have one more question here. How was your journey of raising capital through investors and financial institutions? That's from Mr. Bhujangarao.
We are debt funded. I think as a manufacturing and a working capital intensive business, that has been our uh, the cheapest form of capital that we could tap into. We do have external investors, mostly from family offices, but we didn't think. I mean, in the beginning, especially with the whole idea of like this startup raising that much capital and this startup raising that much capital, we did look at equity investment. But I think for our business model, that works just fine. And it's not been hard to raise debt, but of course, as anybody who's doing business in India knows, that when you do raise debt and you do have banks involved, you do require certain collateral, you do require certain amount of like surety and things like that. But we've been lucky to be able to do that.
Okay, good, great. Yes, ma'am. Neerja, ma'am, please go ahead.
Just I want to contribute related to that. Actually, what are the guidelines are related to that organic farming? In general, next 3 years before it needs that certification. So minimum 3 years gap. If it is the land is under the cultivation of using the chemical fertilizers. So those 3 years they had to stop using all those chemical pesticides or fertilizers. Then the TAPIDA will take care of this certification program. In case of the actually farmers who starting their actually cultivation in virgin soils, then in such cases just simply that if certification given that it is a virgin soil and doing the fresh cultivation means, then there is no issue at all. So that is most important thing. And there are several issues has to be handled related to this organic farming. And especially so when she is telling, Likita is telling about that the quality of the organic food materials, clearly you can feel while cooking and eating also, if they can easily differentiate it. For example, red gram if it is actually that we got from chemical fertilizers or artificially colored this one. So since so we can make it easily difference from the original organic food material. Very actually even their keeping quality shelf life also very high when compared to the food that is generated by using chemical and pesticides. Especially this is more pronouncedly can see in case of fresh fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Clear cut difference you can experience.
Definitely.
So that loss of the yield or little bit less yields will be compensated by the quality of the produce, and which will fetch good amount of price, and at the same time safe to the health everyone. So we had to educate the society people to take up this organic food material, which is already it is going on in welfare in foreign countries.
Exactly. That is true. And yeah, especially coming from staying here in US, we see a lot of people opting for organic and there, of course, brand conscious is there, consciousness. But at the same time, we also validate it by the taste, by the texture, by the way we feel about it and all these things. So yeah, that is good. Um, I think we have only a few more minutes, and I want to ask the last question if there is nobody else speaking. Going global, how was that journey? And how is it? I shouldn't say was, how is it?
It's all right. I wouldn't say that it's been hard, but it's a different learning. I think the way we present ourselves in the domestic market is very different from how the international markets function. And I guess like I always say this, even to my team, in terms of how we do our sales pitch, is always from a customer centric mindset. What does the customer want? And I think what the customer wants uh, in the international market is a little bit different from what the customers want in the domestic market. And it's not been a, in fact, it's been a good experience, I would say. But yes, potential wise also, because price is something which I guess the international markets definitely give more than the domestic markets. So but yeah, I mean, as a very proud Indian, I always felt like, no, I want to, function only in the domestic market, and I wouldn't want to open up to the exports and things like that. I think it's a fine balance. There is we need to make that fine balance, and to get to be a service center to the world, because at the end of the day, India being a highly agrarian economy, the reason why we cannot leverage off our agrarian economy and demand centers being there all over the world is because of the fragmented supply chain. And if we can get the supply chain under control, if we can build uh, something which is viable to the producers here and the consumers across the world, we're all on a win-win situation, and that's what we aspire.
Yeah, I see Miss Meghna ma'am saying that, well said, ma'am, to have consumer-centric business, the reason for success is. So yeah, definitely. We are all promoting Stanford University's terminology called design thinking, where you want to put yourself in the shoes of a problem-facing person and then design solutions. So
Well, I have to give credit to Stanford because I did. I was a cohort member of the Stanford Seed program, and that's where like we did design thinking as well, because it's one of the most, I guess, coveted programs. But yes, I did attend the and it makes sense when we apply that mindset into the way we design the way we speak to our customers, and it matters, I think.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So if no further questions, I thank you so much, Likita. This has been a wonderful session, and we don't want to end this like this. So we want to collaborate, and also, especially like Neerja ma'am said, we want to start with a pilot. So we would really appreciate you supporting us, and especially our farmers in any way possible. And of course, we do have Neerja ma'am and their experts also supporting. So this can be a world winning solution or a tri-party, scenario that we can all talk about afterwards. But at the same time, we wish you all the best and we wish you all the luck so that you can go save several people's lives, because organics is the present and organics is the future. So if you have any closing thoughts, please go ahead. If not, we will send this. This is YouTube live, and we will send you the link and we'll exchange numbers. And if is there any email address people can reach out to?
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure. And it's a well spent Saturday evening talking to all of you. And of course, we will collaborate because we all need to come together to make the world a better place. And I keep saying this, that I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to my mom. At 21, I probably didn't realize what I was doing, but I'm so grateful to be in a business which gives good food to people. And I'm very lucky that way to wake up every day and do that work, the service. So and of course our farmers, because at the end of the day we do owe it all, and they don't get enough credit. They don't get to take that pride in what they do. And so a big shout out to all the farmers. Even if a home gardener, even if you plant one tomato tree in your balcony, you will know the pain of what a farmer goes through. And that's important. So it's important to empathize, and it's important to stand by our workforce and our annadata.
Yes,
That's
agree.
true. I appreciate you, Likita, very much. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Have a good day and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.